All right. Problem solving question 1. A cake in an oven has cooked for 3/4 of its baking time. It has 14 minutes left to bake. For how long has the cake been cooking? So, if it's cooked for 3/4 of its time, right? Here's the cooking time altogether, and it's been cooking for 3/4 of that time. It must have, so that bit there is 3/4. It must have 1/4 left, right? It's got 1/4 of its time left. And we know that it has 14 minutes left. So we know that 1/4 is 14 minutes. 1/4 of the cooking time is 14 minutes. And once we know that, we can then work out how long the cake's been cooking for. The cake's been cooking for 3/4 of its time. So therefore, this is my symbol for therefore, 3/4 is 3 lots of that 14 minutes, isn't it? 3 lots of the 14 minutes, and it's 42 minutes. Okay, now it's a typical mistake here to say 56. And what you would have done if you've written 56 is you've given the whole time of cooking. But that's not what the question is asked for. The question asks how long has the cake been cooking, not what is the total length of time of the cooking. So my answer is 42 minutes. Right. Sophie spent 1/4 of her pocket money on magazines. She spent 2/3 of what she had left on a present. So we just need to be really careful with this. And now she has £6. How much pocket money did she start with? So she starts with an amount. She spends 1/4 of it. How much has she got left? If she spent 1/4, she now still has 3/4 of her money, right? So here she is with all money. What's her name? Sophie. Sophie's got all the money, right? Then she spends 1/4. So she then has 3/4 of her money left. Okay, so she's got 3/4 of her money left, which is really important that we take this 3/4 because we now know that she spends 2/3 of that money left on a present. So she then does 2/3 of the 3/4 on a present. Okay, on a present. So I need to work out how much she spent on a present. Well, 2/3 of 3/4, and then after she's spent that, she then has £6 left. So let's just work out what 2/3 of 3/4 is. Okay, so 2/3 of 3/4. Remember, if we have the word of, it's the same as we're going to times it. So 2/3 times by 3/4, and that gives us 6/12, which is the same as a half, isn't it? Okay, so 6/12, which is the same as a half. So actually, she spent half of her money on the present because she spent 2/3 of 3/4 of her money on the present. So she actually spent half the money on present. Okay, that's the money that she spent on present, half on present. So she spent half on the present, and she spent 1/4 on magazines. So altogether now, she spent 1/4. That's on magazines, plus a half on a present. So she has spent 3/4 of her money altogether at this point. Yeah, because she spent a half plus 1/4, which is 3/4. It's just been pointed out to me that, obviously, although I did do the dividing by 6 here, I wrote divide by 2, which was foolish of me. So I'm just going to change that to divide by 6 here. Okay. So she spent 3/4 of her money altogether now. So the amount that she's got left is 1/4 left. If she spent 3/4, she has 1/4 left. So 1/4 left. And we know that that 1/4 is the £6. She now has £6. So she's got £6. That's 1/4, right? So if 1/4 is £6, how much money did she start with? She must have started with the whole thing. How do I go from 1/4 to the whole thing? I need to times by 4. 4/4 is 1 whole. So the whole, therefore, like starting, is the starting amount. If 1/4 is 6, the starting amount must be 6 times by 4, which is £24.